The first step is to fill in your land using a dark color. Next, you turn down the opacity and use lighter colors to make a variant degree of color shading in your area where you are painting. That's what I'm doing right here. Next, I'm using a little lighter color to give it that more variance of color, and then a darker one to soften it out. Next thing I'm going to do is have a more pale looking grass color on the edges, where it will soon mix with sand colors to give it a more realistic feeling. Here I am just painting over it to give it a more greener look, and now I'm going to add the sand color. Here I'm adding more green to make it stand out more, and then I'm going to add a more darker mossy color to give it more depth, as if there are hills, ditches, whatever, to give it a kind of like to give it more realistic height. Now I'm just adding more green to give it that lush feeling I wanted to have, and on the right side I'm going to add more sand, because that's where our desert will be. Here I'm using a sand color to, as if desaturating the grass color, and I'm adding in my canyon rock color to give it more a desert feeling. Now it's always important to use really a lot of variants of colors, both light and dark, and in between I'm going to add a mountain range, because if you are into this stuff, you will find that mountains often separate biomes, where one side of the mountain is cold and the other side is really hot. You can see this, for example, in Switzerland, where one side of the mountain is very lush, very green, and the other side is covered with ice. Now, just for artistic purposes, I'm adding trees here to give a quick tip, because if you add your trees, then it gives you a feeling of what those trees look like in the forest. As you can see on the left side, they are darker than on the right side. But I want my trees to look as if they're actually forests, and not like these bright green things. And this helps you to understand what your final product will look like. Between the two forests, I want a lighter forest with more lush, more bushes, and more variants. So I'm adding the bushes and the brushes. The next step is to actually make this look like forests. So I'm using a dark color to mix with the grass to give it a more denser feel. Next thing, between the two forests, I add a little more green, as if it's more lush and has more light. Meanwhile, on the sides I use darker colors, because those are more dense forests. I kind of forgot to add the sand for the beaches, so I do that now. And just to give the forest a more look as if some parts are lush, some parts are not, I added a more pale looking grass color to it. Now this is kind of where the coloring ends, sort of, because I'm adding these mountains and the colors don't merge that much. As you can see, one mountain is colored as if it's a desert and the other as if it's a lush green forest. In between we have our rock color. Now if you fast forward, we're going to add the colors. To do this, I'm first going to add a little bit of sand color to ease it out, and then a rock color as if it's the desert. Next, I'm adding the mountain color I want to use, because I want this to be a stone mountain, not a grass mountain or a desert mountain. Be sure to use the right filters. As you can see, I kind of forgot to disable the ground. And you can see that on the right side. Now I'm adding ice and then lower the opacity. Now I'm going to mix in a variety of colors, both from the desert and from the grass, to give it more variety and to add in the nice transition and to give it a nice transition from the desert to the grass and the forests.